Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Are you of sound mind? Are you of strong mind? These days, it's difficult to tell, and it's important to have both a sound mind and a strong mind. It's important to be media literate because we are being subjected to a series of massive psyops, in my opinion. In fact, I think it is factually true. I think everyone knows that, but who's really behind it? Therein lies the mystery. Or maybe it's just self-evident. It seems many political forces are at work battling for our minds. And right now, everyone is looking up to the drones. We'll dig into it tonight a little bit more, and you can weigh in on the conversation with your opinions and your theories even on what these mysterious drones are really all about. I'll try to keep people grounded tonight as everyone else has their heads in the clouds. Well, maybe not everyone. Hopefully not the Mavericks.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
I think it's not just out of hand. I think it's getting ridiculous. There's obviously something going on, and there's some truth to what we've been hearing about with regard to these drone sightings in New Jersey, Maryland, and elsewhere, even in Canada, many places, even around the world. But what's really behind it? I would say that in large part, folks, we are back into what I would refer to as an information feedback loop that is amplifying, echoing, distorting everything that you're seeing and hearing. With a grain of truth at the center of it, it's now snowballed into this information wave that is invading our minds, making us think things that are out of kilter. I'm seeing a lot of posts tonight that honestly, I don't think they're credible. And I've been seeing, especially over the past 2 days, a lot of talk about different theories and people spouting off with their ideas. And while there's absolutely something going on, we're getting distortions. And it's important to try to keep things level-headed, focused, so that we know what the truth is, so that we get a proper response. Otherwise, you get people out in their backyards firing at everything that flies, from Canada geese and ducks to Cessnas and UFOs being unidentified flying objects, which could get somebody hurt or killed. And worse, people are panicking largely. Dragon's going to join us in a minute, and John's going to join us on the phone. If you'd like to join the phone, we are going to open up the phone lines tonight as well. I'll put the number on the bottom of the screen so you can join the conversation. Exercise your right to free speech. There it is right now. You can weigh in at 1-519-401-1373. I don't mind having some fun with some of this stuff, and I certainly want to get to the truth, and so does the governor of New York. And that's because they've even now had an airport shut down. See if I can find you. I've got so many tabs open tonight for this. There it is right there. So yeah, the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, over the past 24 hours, calling for federal assistance. I'll show you her statement. Come on, computer. There we go. And says last night here, last night the runways at Stewart Airfield were shut down for approximately 1 hour due to drone activity in the airspace. This has gone too far. In mid-November, I directed the New York State Intelligence Center to actively investigate drone sightings and coordinate with federal law enforcement to address this issue, and those efforts are ongoing. But in order to allow state law enforcement to work on this issue, I am now calling on Congress to pass the Counter-UAS Authority Security, Safety, and Reauthorization Act. This bill would reform legal authorities to counter UAS and strengthen the FAA's oversight of drones, and would extend counter UAS activities to select state and local law enforcement agencies. Extending these powers to New York State and our peers is essential. Until those powers are granted to state and local officials, the Biden administration must step in by directing additional federal law enforcement to New York and the surrounding region to ensure the safety of our critical infrastructure and our people. So this is all having a direct impact on even real aviation, airport activity and security, and it's affecting people's minds. People are afraid. No wonder. Look at this post on X tonight. Look at the picture. I'm not sure this is even real. Somehow I feel this one's probably fabricated or exaggerated in some way, but here it is. It says here, this is posted by, I think he's the original poster, Jim Ferguson, whoever that is. Here's a video, but look at all that. Are you buying this? Do you think that's authentic? How many lights in the sky is that? That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 6, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40. 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, 62, 64, about 6, maybe 70 of dots of light up there. Now the Coast Guard, there was a Coast Guard report over the last few days saying that they had a boat that was being followed by about 50 of these unidentified objects. Now, when it comes from the Coast Guard, I have to give it some credibility. But I don't know. There's something about that video that just looks fabricated to me. And listen, look at the way it's written here. It says, Panic grips America as mysterious objects dominate the skies. A wave of terror is sweeping across the United States as unidentified objects, described by some as drones, fill the skies, leaving citizens bewildered and authorities eerily silent. When they start adding adjectives like eerily to the script, I begin to wonder if maybe they're just not, sensationalizing, maybe just a little bit. But this is no ordinary technology, this post continues. What we are witnessing seems far beyond anything we know or understand about drones. These enigmatic aerial invaders have sparked a storm of speculation, fear, and unease as their origins and purpose remain shrouded in mystery. The once unshakable image of the most powerful nation on earth now appears fractured. Now we get to the heart of the matter, don't we? Oh, yes. Its leaders paralyzed by uncertainty and inaction. Of course, your leaders, your government is inadequate. We might as well just give up now. Demands for answers grow louder by the hour. Why are these objects here? Who sent them? And why does the government seem so helpless to respond? Boy, I'll tell you, you know what? When the Russians show up, we should just throw up our arms and say, I surrender, because our government is so impotent. It goes on, it says, the silence is deafening, the fear palpable, and the truth may be more chilling than anyone dares to imagine. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, yes. I fear that there is an invasion going on, but I'm not so sure it's the drones. Are you afraid? Are you very, 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 very afraid? A lot of these kinds of stories start with truth. They start with truth, and then you get foreign actors, and you get clickbait artists, social media streamers, who amplify these things and feed upon, prey upon the weak-minded. And even some people with strong minds, people of sound mind, are still sucked in and pulled down deep into rabbit holes. But I think even the most jaded and weakest of minds can see this for what it is, which has got to be 100% fake. Do you think? It says this is an alien drone thingy or whatever landing at Area 51. Of course, cue the dramatic music. I'm going to pull that down so we don't get a copyright strike. Oh my goodness, look how fast it took off. Yes, it landed for just a moment softly and then took off very quickly. Yes, so that's being posted tonight because, of course, what would a good news cycle filled with drone activity and theories of alien invasion be? Not to mention government impotence. What good would it be if you didn't include something from Area 51? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there isn't something going on out there. There is, but now, overlaid on top of that, we have this big psyop. And that's clearly, to me, what at least one element of this is. There's now a psyop element to this. If it wasn't there all along, it certainly is there now. To help us make a little bit of sense out of this, we're going to go to our first contributor of the night, Dragon, and he is waiting in the wings. We'll go to Dragon as soon as we come back on the other side of this. And don't forget, you can join in, weigh in on the conversation, and tell me I am full of whatever you want to tell me I'm full of. Just by dialing that number. I will be right back with Dragon after that.
Welcome
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Hey, there he is. Hey, Dragon.
Hey, what's up, sir?
Good. Your microphone's not working properly. So
I gotta back up.
yeah, I'll tell you, I'm going to pull out of this. I've got another call. So you take a few minutes and we'll reconvene with you in a few minutes while you get your mic working. Okay. Give me another moment here while I get this other call lined up, and I'll be right back on the other side. Speaking of drones, let's just show you another identified flying object.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media outlets publish these things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are mavericks. We are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, and we've got John from Alberta on the line, and you're our first caller of the night, John. So, have the aliens come to eat your brains yet?
Yes, well, hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. Maverick News Worldwide from Alberta, from the great republic and newest 51st state of the United States of America, Rickster. That's breaking news, my friend.
Oh, my goodness, we've already been invaded, have we? And
well, we have in Alberta anyways. We'll just talk to Daniel Smith, but...
Yeah. Listen, folks, let me know in the chat if the audio is okay on this. Sometimes we're getting some real interference when we go to this phone. So if this is a big problem and the audio is terrible, please let me know and I'll do my best to correct that. But back to you, John. What is your take on what is going on with all these drones or lights or whatever it is that people are seeing in the skies?
I don't know, guys, Rick. I think it's all about a lot of nothing, kind of myself. You kind of get the mouse on the revolving door, and it just reverberates itself. And I think it's a heck of a lot over nothing, really. There's always been mysterious, unreported, allegedly, wink, wink, UFO sightings. But I think it's all for nothing before Christmas, guys, I think.
Yeah, it's like there seems to be like there's something going on. But I would say if whatever these things are, if they were going to attack us, they would have attacked us by now. So I don't think whatever they are, it doesn't seem to be dangerous. And it also seems to me that when you get something like this going on, the first thing that happens is you get people jacked up and things become exaggerated in people's minds, and it creates, as you said, John, almost like I would call it an information feedback loop, where it feeds upon itself because people begin to notice things more. It's kind of like when you have a particular kind of car, like if you say you have a Chrysler minivan. As soon as you have a Chrysler minivan, you start to notice other Chrysler minivans more, because you have one. Or if you have doesn't matter what it is. Or if, in this case, because people are talking about drones, people are looking up more, and then they start to imagine that a lot of the lights and things they see in the sky must be the thing that people have been talking about. When in fact, many of the things that people are seeing are probably just airplanes or satellites or shooting stars, or it could be any number of optical illusions, or who knows, right? Just like all the time. But this is being amplified on social media, in my view. What say you?
Well, it's almost, Rick, like a dog with a bone. Once they get it in their mouth, it's just about impossible to get rid of it, eh? And it makes for great sort of propaganda kind of drama. Mm-hmm. A lot of drama before Christmas, because we're all on the edge of Christmas, I think it's just a lot of spoof and foof, a lot of fake news, I think.
Yeah. And as we were showing on the program last night, these drones, these consumer drones, they're very inexpensive now. There are more and more and more and more and more of them out there. So people are out flying them around all the time. And at night, with the blinking lights and things like that, I think they generate more attention than they would even during the day, because they're visible against the black sky. But there's just a lot more stuff up in the air these days.
Well, do we not have enough things going on, Maverick, people in the world, with wars going on and people trying to do the right thing and praying for peace and calmness and some, I think we got much bigger fish to fry and much more important things in the world than get caught up. And I think it's a lot of propaganda, Rick. And what's the credibility of these unidentified objects on time stamping? And I think a lot of that is old news clips from 6 months, a year, 2 years ago. Yeah, and this, I'm going to show you, I don't know if you can see it on your screen here or not, but I'll share it with people and I'll describe it for you, John. I just came across this as I was preparing the broadcast tonight, this on X or Twitter. And I would say this is completely fake. It's something in Chicago, or so the caption says something fell out of the sky in Chicago, probably some sort of drone, and caused all this damage. The street is, the pavement is all heaved and cracked, and you see vehicles upside down. And I'm saying this is complete bunk.
Something came from the sky. Right?
Oh, that's true too. Yes. Yeah.
artificial intelligence, it scares me.
So I went on a search to see if there was any, if there'd been anything from police reporting anything like this, and no, nothing. Now, I don't know what this is, but this is not a drone crashing in a street in New York, or sorry, Chicago. This is complete crap. But a lot of people will buy into that and think that it's authentic. Let me see how many hits that's had. So far, 71,000 people have viewed that. And how many people would actually believe it, Andy? I'm pretty sure, 99.999% sure that is fake.
Well, I think a lot of Hollywood hype, hyping it up like a movie, and it's all fake. Artificial intelligence. And I mean, look how sophisticated that AI is now. It looks incredibly real.
Oh, yes. Yeah. A lot of it's amazing.
Scary, real to the point. And don't you think a lot of this is generated to scare people?
Yes. That's exactly what it is. In that post I just read, that is absolutely designed to scare people. And of course, they can't resist, whether they're doing it for clicks or doing it because they're malicious or because they're foreign actors or whatever it is, or maybe they're part of a foreign disinformation or propaganda campaign. It undermines trust in our governments and our first responders, our institutions. We saw some of that going on. We've seen it repeatedly over the past couple of years with a variety of emergency situations, including hurricanes, wildfires, all kinds of other emergent.
Children missing in Hawaii.
Lahaina. Yes,
Children
absolutely.
Missing, right?
That
all
yep.
fake.
Fake. In fact, yes, I was looking that up, John, again, just to find out what the latest information was on it. And yeah, there have been reports from tech companies, independent tech companies that have been looking into all that too, who say that was absolutely a Russian psyop. And media finally picking this stuff up. And this is just a local media outlet out of Hawaii, I believe, acknowledging the propaganda campaign that came out of Lahaina, which was entirely designed to undermine confidence in our institutions and our government. Now, I'm not saying the wildfires didn't happen. It absolutely did, and it was tragic, and people did die. But all the talk about the kidnapped children being taken on the buses and all of that was 100% fake. And that's why I put the challenge out there to people. Bring me even a single person, a relative, anyone connected to any of these missing children, even just one, because if a person like that had lost a nephew or a son or a daughter, would they not be out there putting up posters all over the place? Find my child. Would they not be, shouting from, from the rooftops, like, bring my child home? They'd be screaming and demanding action from the authorities, but nobody, not even one. Nobody could produce anybody. I had somebody go down to Hawaii who was going down, and they looked into it. They couldn't find any of that. None. And then all those children ultimately have been accounted for by the authorities, all of them. And yet there are still probably millions of people out there who believe that those children were kidnapped, taken onto buses, and a lot of people think they were taken down into tunnels or something. There's some crazy narrative that came with it, and it was just wrong. It was complete fake. It was all designed to drive people mental, and they absolutely went nuts.
Rick, you know what? Allegedly, Oprah Winfrey is still in Hawaii looking for the missing children.
Yeah, right. This is the whole thing. It was all BS, all of it. And sorry, I know that's going to blow up some people's worlds, but I don't care, because I am not going to sit here and repeat lies, absolute lies that are harmful to people and disrespectful to the people of Lahaina, who suffered so much and continue to struggle as they try to recover from that wildfire. And, it says here, tech leaders confirmed in a Capitol Hill hearing that China and Russia were behind a coordinated campaign on social media platforms to spread misinformation about the catastrophic Lahaina wildfire. Meanwhile, U.S. Senator Mazie Hirono said that the federal government's response was hindered by online rumors. Maui residents were subjected to disinformation, some of it coming from foreign governments. That is Russia looking to sow confusion and distrust. Okay, so you know what? It's so bad, though, John, that even as I sit here and share that with people, I will have people attacking me saying, well, you can't trust the government. They're just lying to you. Oh, for crying out loud. You know, it's
people
terrible.
Are still just too trusting, Rick, and a lot of older people I know, they're just, they just trust anything they see on the internet or TV, and more and more of it appears to be not real, not investigated, not even close.
And I mean, that's the problem is, the mainstream media got caught lying on some pretty key things. They blew their credibility. That's why you should never do that when you're in the media. And as a result, people don't trust them anymore. But unfortunately, what's gone on is people, as they have learned to distrust mainstream media, now they think that anything else they see with an opposite point of view must be the truth. And that's not how it works. Just because you catch one side telling you something that isn't true, first of all, it doesn't mean that everything they tell you is not true. And secondly, it doesn't mean that everything that somebody on the other side that is telling you something is telling you the truth. In fact, what's been going on, a lot of it, is the people on the other side who are telling you that you can't trust the mainstream media because everything they tell you is a lie. They're also severely lying to you, a lot of those people. And again, not always about everything, but about a lot of things. Nothing is absolute. That's why you need to be media literate. That's why you need to have a strong mind. That's why you need to be of sound mind, and you need to be able to determine what's real, what isn't, and especially right now with something like this drone story that is, evolving day after day. Be careful. Don't get sucked down into conspiracies that are not proven. I want facts. I want real information, verifiable information, not just somebody's opinion, not just an opinion. It's okay to have an opinion, but you need to realize that's an opinion, not a fact. But people take these things and they think that that's the fact, and then the dominoes fall after that, and you start going down a path of incorrect information.
Well, and Rick, here we go again. Let's thank God for people in Canada by the name of Rick Walker with Maverick News that actually believes in truth and investigation and rebel news podcasters.
And I have to sit here, John, tonight, and I have to say that the truth is, I don't know what these things are. But here's the other part of the truth: none of these other people do either, and some of them are out there spouting off about some pretty crazy stuff, and whether it's Project Blue Beam or nuclear weapon things or blah, 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 like, prove it, okay? It's okay, you can have theories about stuff, but some of these people are out there just really intentionally trying to scare us, and I'm going to sleep well tonight because we're not nuked overnight. And whatever these things are up in the air, whether it's just consumer hobby drones or some government thing or whatever it is, they haven't killed anybody yet. And I don't think they're going to, because if they were going to, we would have been blown to bits by now. So calm down. Let's figure out what it is. And regardless of what Donald Trump says, I don't think we should be shooting them down until we know what the hell they are.
Well, and thank God we live in a country called Canada. We are so fortunate to be in this country.
Yeah, even if it is the 51st state.
Oh, that's Alberta. That's the
just Alberta,
Republic
right?
Of Alberta. Yeah.
Donald Trump wishes we were the 51st state. He wishes. Dream on, big guy. We're too attractive. We're out of your league.
Well, I always said, when Sleepy Joe, Bolshevik bunker ice cream, soon to be gone, President Biden, left that, what was it, $80 billion in Iran or Iraq? We could have stored all that brand new military. equipment if we had a prime minister. Justin Turd on the beat, we would have made a stronger North America.
Yeah, talking about Russian disinformation or propaganda, I mean, it's a real thing. Like, you can deny if you want, but it's absolutely a real thing. And there is a company out there called Social Design Agency, and it's implicated in information warfare and propaganda activities. And the Social Design Agency company is very closely linked to Russian political power and has been involved in digital disinformation campaigns, notably the recent Reliable News campaign, it was called. And this campaign aims to manipulate information and spread disinformation, in particular in support of Russian interests. And there's absolute proof of this. And this organization, company, the Social Design Agency, a lot of their digital records have been uncovered through investigations. And they have been responsible for all kinds of bot-generated social media responses and comments on social media platforms like Facebook. And here's a digital record of thousands and thousands and thousands of these archived fake bot-generated pro-Russian comments. Here, I'm going to show you the archived digital records that have been unearthed here. Here we go. This, folks, is what is going on in order to manipulate your mind. All of these are connected directly to that company I just told you about, fake generated responses using, I assume, a mix of AI and other digital technology to generate pro-Russian responses. Look at them all. Now, you think that you don't need to be media savvy and media literate today in order to defend your mind against that? Because that's what they're literally filling our heads with that. That's what's going into your mind. Are you getting it? And it's still going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. In order to manipulate public opinion, in order to manipulate your mind. Alex Jones is, full of a lot of what at times, but he is right about one thing. There is absolutely a war on for our minds. Thoughts, John?
Oh, absolutely. Totally on the mark. But Rick, all roads lead back to the CIA, Rick.
Yeah,
it's the CIA, Rick.
Yeah. And I'm not saying the CIA doesn't get involved in psyops of their own. Of course they do. All governments do. But that's the thing. We're on the receiving end of a variety of things. Our government wants us to behave in a particular way. That's why they engage in advertising, and I think even to some degree, even domestic psyops, absolutely. But you were also being subjected to foreign infiltration, foreign government manipulation, and the sooner people wake up to that and realize that we are under attack at a time of war, the better. And when I'm seeing this story evolve about the drones tonight, still ongoing, and it has all the earmarks of an event, a news event that has been amplified through an information warfare feedback loop. That's what we are getting tonight, in large part. And these things are so incredibly effective that even public officials, politicians, people within our own government can be and are being influenced by them as well. They are not immune to this because it's all in the domestic space. And as a result, we get skewed responses from public officials. And it's because the people, the public, we, the people, are manipulated, influenced by all of this kind of information that is flooding into our minds, and it distorts our sense of reality. And then we demand action from our politicians as well, depending on the context, the framing that is associated with the information that's conveyed to us. It's a very sophisticated thing. This is a crazy, sophisticated psyop. We are being subjected to the world's biggest mind fuck. It's been going on in an amplified way since the pandemic, and it continues tonight. Listen to me, folks. You, me, all of us, me too. I'm affected by it. The world's biggest mind fuck. And it's not just your government. In fact, they don't have as much of an interest in screwing you up as foreign actors. It's foreign governments that are largely doing this to us, and they're infiltrating our government. That's where it's coming from. You're looking in the wrong direction because we're all screwed in the heads. I'm telling you right now. And this is just one very small layer of the onion peeled back for you to see right there. That's what they're feeding into your mind tonight. Are you getting it, folks? Hello, Earth to everyone, all the Earthlings out there. Turn off your computer, save your brain. Get back to reality. Go hug a tree and go for a walk and just clear your mind. Any final thoughts there, John?
Well, just a final thought being a pre-Merry Christmas from Alberta to everybody worldwide. And folks, please, if you're able to donate some time at a homeless shelter or a food bank, and if you are enjoying some holiday cheer Canada-wide, please don't drink and drive. Phone a cab, phone a friend, phone a relative. Don't even think about putting the keys in the ignition. Give them to the bartender, and they'll make arrangements for you to get a ride. That's my final message for peace and our loving our people around the world, Rick.
Yeah, and if Bob Barker was still here, you know what he would say? He would say, don't forget to get your pets neutered and spayed.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Good advice, though, John. Thank you.
From Alberta.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Have a great night, John.
Cheers. Bye-bye. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye for now. Good call from John out in Alberta, and I forgot to ask him, but I talked to him earlier. He hasn't seen any drones out where he lives around Red Deer, Alberta, so I don't think we have to worry about him being beamed up for strange medical experiments on board a UFO tonight. Let's take a little break. We'll come back, and Dragon will join us on the other side. Hopefully he has his microphone issues all ironed out there, and we will continue right after. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call now, 1-519-401-1373. One 519-401-1373. Exercise your right to free speech. That's 1-519-401-1373. That's 1-519-401-1373. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I'm just looking in the chat here before we go to Dragon, and Almatched says, I believe you, Rick, but why did Russia blow in and cause this lie? Well, I'm not sure that they actually caused it. It may have started as a legitimate story. Sometimes these things are generated from the beginning by propaganda machines, propaganda artists. Other times, and I think most often what happens is a real story happens, and then they throw fuel on the fire and they inject other information to disrupt, discredit, to sow seeds of doubt and undermine confidence in our government, because these are foreign governments that are doing this. And just to create chaos, to try to tear our society and our government apart. And it got pretty bad during the hurricanes, because we saw things happening on both sides where you had, anti-Trump government employees who literally, I think, were convinced on their side of the PSYOP you did see, like, there was one incident where they were saying, just bypass. Well, what I think really was going on was they were saying bypass that Trump supporters' house, I think because they were afraid of them, for starters, and also because there was a mindset that they were the enemy of some kind and they didn't deserve the assistance. That person was fired. But then on the other side, largely the government was there trying to help people and provide aid in whatever form. And people were so distrustful that they were refusing to even let them come in. So they were turning away the aid that they needed because they didn't trust the people bringing it, because they were with FEMA or the government. That was a terrible situation. I've seen it with even there was a military exercise back, I think, in the spring. I might be getting the dating wrong. And they were just Army reservists, young kids, trying to learn how to go door to door in the event of an emergency to alert people that there is an emergency. And the information propaganda machine kicked up here in Canada. And some people got it in their heads that this was some sinister government plot to plan for the takeover of the nation and take your houses, whatever. So some people were like, if these guys come to my door, they'll find out. And there was a real danger that there might be violence or something. And this is why they do it. And then in the end, it's just to undermine confidence and trust in the government, so that we no longer have trust in even the people that we elect, so that and the public servants, where they're just trying to do their jobs to serve us, and we don't trust them. And I get the distrust. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But when it's amplified like that, it gets dangerous. And then people can actually get hurt. They can actually die in emergency situations. And this is unacceptable. This hurts people. It really does. And this stuff here, they just shut down an airport. That's how serious this is getting. This, whatever it is serious. And because it's amplified so much, the information warfare side of it is absolutely present in my view. Okay, we've kept him in the back room long enough. Let's bring Dragon back in and see if his mic is working. Hopefully we've got the technical problems worked out. Are you there, sir? Can you hear me?
I am there. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you. You still, it sounds like you're off mic there, but...
Oh, well, I got my mic here from my headphone, but...
Yeah, it's not activated. You're still on your camera mic, I believe, Dragon. It's in your settings, is what it is.
That sucks, because it's supposed to be all set up.
Well, lean in closer to the camera so that if you can, and then
This way might just work better.
Yeah.
All right.
So just speak loudly and we'll be okay. Now, you're up there in Montreal.
Yeah.
And you were telling me you were out over the last couple of nights hunting drones. So tell me what you saw. Tell our viewers.
I just beautiful nights without basically nothing to see here. A lot of people online or medias have said that there's a lot of drone everywhere around the world, which is well unlikely in Montreal. I've seen a few probably on the street, but not around where you would probably think it is. And it's the few I've seen in mid of days are just regular people drones. So no type of drones that you would see on medias nowadays that kind of invade everyone.
Okay, I'm having a little trouble following you because the English is a little bit broken. But what you're saying, if I understand you correctly, is you've been out, you haven't really seen anything out of the ordinary in Montreal.
Exactly.
You've seen a couple of drones, but nothing to be concerned about, is what you're saying, and nothing that resembles these drones that are being described in like New Jersey that are supposed to be 8 to 12 feet in length or the size of a bus flying through the air or something like that.
Yeah, nothing of that size or the humongous size that you've detailed. No, nothing of that. So yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah. Now we did see reports from Kingston, Winnipeg, some other cities just in the last 24 hours where people have been posting pictures of videos of drones. I showed them to people last night. But they're lights in the sky. In many cases, they could just be airplanes flying at night. They could be drones. In some cases, I think they are. But so what is kind of what I'm saying here too. If some kid has a drone from Best Buy and he's flying it in the middle of the night, that isn't really unusual these days, and yet people are freaking out if they see a drone in the sky now or any light. What do you think?
It's exactly it. I mean, people will just.
You're muffled there, Dragon. Your audio is like really muffled now.
Oops.
Barely hear you.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
No, it's really, really muffled now.
That's because I've changed something here.
Yeah. You need to turn the volume up, or your gain, or Here, let me try that.
Does it sound better?
No, still too low.
Too low?
Yeah, too low. I mean, you sound more on mic, but there's not enough volume.
I should be better now.
No, you're not. Well, I'll tell you what. You play with it. I'm going to take you off the screen for a bit. We'll come back in a moment to you, and we'll continue the conversation. Okay. He's still having trouble with his mic, unfortunately. So we'll see how that goes. If you'd like to call in, you can do that. I see some people making comments in the chat. I'll go and take a look at that now. See what you guys are saying, so that you can participate in the conversation that way. Let me see. Okay, there's Toto Payne Diaz says drones scanning throughout. I don't know what that means. Yeah, the sound is good, says Funis, but the lag is bad. Yeah, he's got internet issues there tonight. And Yvonne notices Dragon's new background, which is the bridge with light effects, yeah. And Funis says ceases backdoor eating up all of, and I don't know what that means. And Funis says again, how can the law come and give your son a ticket for flying drone out of the VLOS, yet not be able to see where these come from. If they have batteries, they have limited fly time. Clue in. As I said, there's a lot I don't know, and I think we need some real facts, especially at this point. Yeah, and I know that the federal government in the U.S. has decided to direct more resources toward finding out exactly what is going on so that they can provide more answers to people, although I am with the people who are saying it seems very weird that the federal government doesn't know what these things are and can't provide a real explanation. With all of the technology that the U.S. military has at its disposal, where they can literally shoot down cruise missiles, rockets by the hundreds, if not thousands, with fifth-generation warfare or fifth-generation fighter jets that can shoot down incoming munitions, radar and other satellite technologies. I don't know how they can't tell people what the heck these things are. They're monitoring the airspace all the time. They can track every aircraft out there. They can tell when drones are in the air. Now, I guess if it's just people, independent people, just flying drones around, maybe they don't know where they're coming from because it could be 12-year-old kids with their toys, you know. But if they truly are the size of a bus flying through the air, and I haven't seen anything of that size, I don't know. I don't know. That is the point. And other people who are making these claims that they know don't know either. I would suggest anyway. And Jesse LeBlanc says, how military not have 3D spatial radar? I don't know. And why aren't they telling us more? Is it because they don't know or because they don't want to tell us? I don't know. But I do know this, like I said, we haven't been blown up. Nobody's been hurt. None of these drones have attacked anything. And they are clearly drones. All the images that have been clear enough to determine what they are, they're drones. They're not like UFOs from Mars. They're clear. They've got lights. They're flashing at night. They want to be seen. The flashing lights are there for visual tracking and for safety, so that airplanes and things don't fly into them. If they were there to attack us, they'd probably turn those lights off so that they can't be so easily shot down. Think. That's what they do at night when they fly a drone in. Sandy says, welcome back, Dragon. Yeah, Sandy likes you, Dragon. She's your friend. Let me look over here on the Rumble chat. See what's going on. Linda says that they could hear you good, Dragon. I don't know, your audio near the end there got cut by like 80% for me. And I see people talking about Christmas in there. Talking about everything but the drones over on Rumble. Talking about Christmas preparations. Well, let's take another break, and I don't know if... Is Dragon actually still in there? Yeah, he's moving around. He doesn't have his background activated, and I don't know what's going on with his audio. We'll give him a minute more here, and then we'll come back and continue the conversation. So, stay with me. We have more coming up.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So there is clearly something real going on. I don't know exactly what it is. It is having real impact, though, on our communities, especially in places like New York, New Jersey, Stewart Airport services, both commercial and military flights adjacent to New York Air National Guard Base were affected by this because we saw the airport there shut down for an hour yesterday. And we have this recording to share with you here from, I believe this is air traffic control. Let me bring this up to show you. This shows how serious this gets. And so that's why, we need to be made, as much as we can, we need to, for safety reasons alone, try to make sure that we're dealing in facts, not in hysteria, speculation, or theories. And I sure hope that they were tracking actual drones or whatever before they shut the airport down. But check this out. Check out this clip.
Another one show up about my 1 o'clock, about 1,000 feet high, zipping towards us and then back out towards the ocean. It's red in color, moving at extreme speeds. I don't even know how to describe how fast he's moving. 661 on the Fox.
Typical Name Foxtrot, Roger. You are cleared to maneuver as necessary, left and right, to avoid the UFO out there, and all the reports you've given us are good information. Appreciate it.
Another one.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's real, that's verified, that's a real thing. What it was that pilot was seeing or detecting, still not clear, but that's real. So we can take that and work with it, right? But there's a lot of other stuff out there that's come on the heels of that maybe not as credible. Let's see if Dragon's ready to rock and roll here. Are we better now, Dragon?
Yep. Can you hear me better?
Well, I can hear you. It's loud enough. It still sounds like you're on the camera mic, but we'll work on that when we're off the program. People can hear you, so let's just proceed.
All right.
So throw it back to you for your thoughts to catch up.
Nothing abnormal in Montreal, but what I can tell you is that you're right about the PSYOPs, because we see a lot of, people on social media will talk about what they think, and not only what they think, but they don't know much about drones. I don't know much myself about drone, but I can tell you what is a commercial drone, or, the kind of drone that people use usually. But this is kind of frustrating to see the media trying to have two sides of the way, or two sides of the story, and trying to portray the thing as one side, the government is stupid not enough to know, when they know that the government has what we call a certain line of knowledge or information, which they will rely the information to themselves. So yeah, this is kind of frustrating to see that people are sucked into it. And even myself, because I went so far away just to look into it, and I found nothing.
Yeah, well, I was out walking the dog again tonight, walking around the neighborhood, and I thought I should have brought a video camera just in case there are any drones out here. But I didn't bother going back to get it because I didn't see any. So it would have been anticlimactic.
But there's another part of it. It's the fear, I think, that the people are propagating themselves, because it's the fear of the unknown, right?
Yeah.
We don't know much about that, what's going on. So people are just inflating their fear with the non-value information that they have, and trying to figure out for themselves.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of theories, a lot of people with opinions. What are the top or most extreme, I would say, theories that you have come across over the past couple of days as you've been scrolling through social media?
The one that says about, probably someone have smuggled something like a nuclear bomb or the type of uh, theory was probably for me the most outlandish, kind of plausible in a way, but with what we have as technology today, I don't think somebody would have smuggled something that easily. So no, it's improbable to me.
Yeah, I came across that as well. I've heard that over the past couple of days, and I did not report on that here because there's no proof of that. And it seems to me that putting that kind of information out there scares the living daylights out of people, or could. That could even cause a panic. I mean, you want to disrupt society. You start telling people that they're at risk from something like that, and some people will believe it, even though there's zero real proof that that has happened, that some kind of weapon like that has been smuggled into the country, and that these drones are out there trying to sniff it out at night by trying to detect radioactive activity or radioactivity, or whatever. I don't know. I could understand, and I might even buy into the idea that these drones are part of the U.S. military and that they are up there providing maybe air security, a new kind of surveillance, that maybe they're engaged in something. But before I get on this program and start telling or scaring people with information about those kinds of weapons possibly being planted inside our country, I'm not going to. I mean, here we are talking about it. I don't want to talk about it because there's no proof of that, like zero proof. And yet people are out there spouting off about this stuff. That's clickbait.
You're right into a Tom Clancy story right now, implanting a sort of a nuke inside US, make it blow up and so on. I mean, that's just irrational at some point.
Something. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
The other outlandish story that I heard was also that it was a plan to disrupt the switch of power with Trump. So,
and if you think about it, nuclear weapons, the real power that they have with nuclear weapons is deterrence, or manipulation of human behavior through fear. It's the threat of the use of a nuclear weapon that the real power comes from. If you use nuclear weapons, it pretty much ensures that you will also be destroyed. So there's a real incentive to not use them. But if you can somehow manipulate the information war to convince people that you have first strike capability, that you have the upper hand, that you have the ability to nuke them before they can nuke you back, now you've got the upper hand. Think about this. If this kind of information is taken to heart by the American people, and they believe, if they're led to believe something that isn't even true, that this is the kind of threat that they have on their own soil now, that their homeland has been put at risk, that there's an actual now real threat domestically, then you've got a way to manipulate public opinion and behavior in a really severe way. Yep. This is irresponsible, putting this kind of information out there without any verifiable facts. This is propaganda. This crap about this weapon, that's just designed to scare people. And at this point, so, unless you've got the real goods, they should shut up about it, because they're doing the public a huge disservice, in my opinion.
And basically, it's just to undermine your trust into your own government at the end of the day. So,
yeah. And you could, if you've actually convinced people that you've done this, you don't even have to do it. It doesn't have to be real. It just has to be real in people's minds. So if you can convince people that you've brought some sort of a weapon like that, or maybe managed to smuggle it into a country, then you can blackmail people. You can blackmail the whole country. You can convince people to just give up without firing a shot with a weapon that doesn't even exist, only in people's minds. There's a war on for your mind.
This is exactly Sun Tzu. It's the art of war. Basically, you have won a war without even blood, one drop of blood, basically. So you said it yourself.
And if the objective is not to undermine trust in our public institutions, governments, and demoralize people to the point where they just want to give up and surrender to whatever enemy it is that may be doing this to us, then maybe the other objective is simply to sell, I don't know, freeze-dried food so that you can prep for the nuclear holocaust. I don't know.
Yep. Well, that's probably an idea. I've seen so many stuff, or so many preppers, we'll call them, say stuff like, look, I've received tons of new shipments or orders for XYZ stuff. So things is about to hit the hand and whatever. So, I mean, it's probable, but I mean, like you said, I'm going to sleep myself also tonight, and gonna make sure that tomorrow morning when I pinch myself, I'll be still alive and not into a nuclear holocaust.
I think we do need to be concerned. We do need to demand that we get answers and demand truth, facts, but we also need to be concerned about those who seek to twist our minds and manipulate us through fear. And it's not always our own government. It's other actors as well. And there are a variety of motives and a variety of people doing this to us. That's why we have to become more media literate. And the first step toward doing that is being aware that it is being done to us. It's important.
Do you want a good final thought on this one?
I do, sir. Yes, please.
Well, be careful because, those what we call stupid or useful idiot. And be careful, guys, because idiot in large group, well, they are dangerous. You know the rules.
That's true.
So
that's true. Yeah. And again, the bottom line is we don't know what these things are, but I do recognize a psyop when I see one now, especially these days. And this has all the earmarks of a psyop. It's not entirely untrue. There's truth to the story, but a lot of the stuff being overlaid now, wrapped around it, no, there's a lot of stuff now that's happening out there that is not truthful, and it's not being presented in a genuine way. It's they're not acting in good faith, some of these folks, that's for sure.
That's the idea.
Yeah. Dragon, thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight. We're going to move
my pleasure,
on,
my friend.
And we'll continue with our other news stories of the day when we come back on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are Maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay. We're back, and all of this drone talk has, of course, people reaching back into the archives, the video archives and history to share stuff like this. History Channel has even done something on this, and others are picking up on it as well tonight. Let me see here. Can I make this bigger? Yeah, let me see if I can make it. Here we go. Well, that's about as big as I can make this one. This is posted on X tonight, but there's video of this over the Capitol of the United States back in, I'm seeing 1952, 1953. It depends on which poster shares it. History Channel, as I say, did talk about this in a documentary that they did. It's entertaining. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but this was July 19th, 1952, according to this post, or version of the post. It's called the UFO Flap, bright points of light captured flying in a Luftwaffe-like formation above the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. President Eisenhower eventually signed the deal in 1953, and so began the greatest cover-up in human history. So says this poster. So I don't know. I keep saying that. I don't know. I don't know. I keep repeating that, and that's because I don't. Is that all real? Is that authentic? You be the judge. Have we exhausted this subject for tonight? Shall we move on until we get something more substantive? I'll tell you this, okay? I feel like we've been primed for this. It's like, well, here, you know what? I'm going to show you just to show you that it's not just Alex Jones. It's not just these other media outlets that are accused of being sensationalistic or conspiracy theory based. It's, it's media outlet, other media outlets too, including History Channel. And I won't run this because I don't want a copyright strike, but I'll just bring you some screenshots of what they were saying about that 1952 or 53 sighting of all those what appeared to be drones at the time. I think they're taking some creative liberties with some of the graphics here. They scrambled fighter jets. Anyway, you can go find this online if you want to watch the History Channel short report on this. This version of it only runs 3 minutes 47 seconds. So it's not a long watch on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube. In fact, you know what I'll do just to help you out? If you do want to see the History Channel version, I'll even put the link in the description. But I would even there just keep in mind that a lot of this stuff is offered for entertainment purposes. There's the link in the chat for YouTube, and I'll put the link to the YouTube video on YouTube over here in our Rumble channel. So there it is in Rumble. Hello, Mavericks again on Rumble. And there we go. thing is, yesterday's science fiction is becoming today's science reality. I think that also contributes to a lot of this stuff because the technology that's out there now is mind-blowing. When you see these new fighter jets fly, they do things that defy, or appear to defy, the laws of physics. They fly in ways that other aircraft never could, sliding this way, doing what appear to be almost like flat spins and then hovering in place like UFOs. Older airplanes, older aircraft, jets could never do that. They've just got so much thrust and power behind them. It's just amazing the different aerobatic maneuvers they can perform. And I think a lot of the time what people are seeing and thinking they are UFOs, it's fifth generation fighters or it's experimental aircraft that the government can't really tell you about because it's classified. Or in this case, these drones, who the heck really knows at this point? They're real. There's a lot of them out there. They're flying around, but they are drones. They're not, because you can see that they are some sort of a drone. What the story is behind them, we still don't know. We just need more facts. What else is going on out here today? I'm not going to bother with that since we're kind of getting off the subject here now. We have well, you're talking about drones. This is sort of related. It's on this in the same vein. It'll help us segue into these other stories of the day. This is Senator Mike Rounds, South Dakota, Fox News, talking about Trump's cabinet picks and Trump's approach to defense. And he says he sees the path forward in a very good light right now. He thinks that what Trump is doing is good, and he wants, because he says Trump wants to do what the Department of Defense is bring back a more, as he says, a lethal approach and get rid of all the DEI stuff. We shall see. I think that so far the language we've been hearing from Trump leaves me kind of wondering exactly where he's at. I can't tell. I think I think it's clear, fairly clear with regard to Israel. With Ukraine, not so much. But here's the senator.
I see his path very good right now. I think, he's still going to have to go in front of the committee and in an open session be able to explain if there's anybody going to step forth and make an accusation. But look, I think his focus on what he wants to do with the Department of Defense is the right one. I think he's in step with what President Trump wants to do in terms of any reorganization and so forth. But bringing back the lethal approach within the Department of Defense and getting rid of all the DEI crap. And I think that's the focus that he's going to have. And I think he's going to be well supported by Congress in that regard. But I think the first meeting that I had with him, I really appreciated. I liked the approach that he was taking. And I think the other thing on this that I think people out there have heard a lot about is that he's got these anonymous accusations coming against him. And I think he hasn't had that opportunity to respond in front of the public and to respond to those accusations. And this will be an opportunity for him to do so. My message to him is just get in, put your message together, be prepared for it. Our Democrat colleagues are going to be tough on him. They're going to ask lots of questions. But look, I think he's got the right idea, particularly with regard to the Department of Defense. I thought he had a very, very good message.
So that, of course, is all about Pete Hegseth, Trump's pick to run the Department of Defense. Controversial. And I think a lot of the picks that Trump has for his cabinet, as they seek confirmation, they're going to have some real problems. It's going to be an uphill battle for some of them. Him in particular, they're going to stand against him, the Democrats, for a variety of reasons. Okay, now, back in Kazakhstan, Canada, pro-Palestine protesters went into a dollar store in Toronto, and were asked to leave today. Let me share that video with you. I have to say, I don't know what happened prior, like before this video began to roll. So I can't speak to the exact particulars of this incident. I will share this with you because this issue of protesting in the streets and public spaces, even praying now in some cases in places of business, it is a concern for some people. The Premier of Quebec is looking at passing a law that would ban public prayer in response to all of this, and we're getting pushback from a variety of religious leaders in different faiths, including the Catholic Church, who are saying, no, this is the wrong move. We should not be banning public prayer. But anyway, this is what happened in Toronto today at this dollar store. Just one incident of many, many, many going on. This is just what happened to be captured here. Keeping in mind that this is like a telescope looking at a particular incident.
I need to fight
I understand that. No.
Yeah, where is the problem if I need it? I'm
They're
here
saying,
peaceful.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're saying you've been trespassing.
Do you understand as well?
Yeah, I understand. You're asking the plaza and the properties adjacent. They're acting as agents on behalf of the property owners. They're asking you to leave. We're here to escort you.
Who asking for me to leave?
The property owner. They're acting as agents on behalf of the property owners.
You mean the plaza?
Yeah.
Yes. In charge of this.
Yeah, okay.
So we're asking you to leave. We're here to escort you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We can't buy even anything from here.
That
I don't think.
What's the problem?
no. They would trespass the property act. They're asking you to leave.
Because they've already asked you to leave, ma'am.
So we're escorting you.
Oh, really?
And again, I have to say, I don't know what led to this, so I can't give you more context than what you're seeing here. If any of you have, other information, you can share it in the chat, and I'll take a look. Anybody else familiar with what happened here in Toronto today?
Hi, hello, how are you?
And they're letting them check out. It's like everything's cool as long as you're just shopping. But they called police to have these people leave the store. So I don't know what they were doing beforehand that got the owner upset. I'm sorry I don't have more context, but I'll try to find out more about this. I don't know. But this shows you too, like, I guess the value in showing you this is to just show you how everything is just screwed and disrupted, and you have people on both sides of the issue suffering, and we're just not getting along. I don't like it. I do not like it. And then we see these videos, and sometimes, like I say, they start at a particular point, but was the owner justified in asking someone to leave? Like, if you own the place and it's private property, you can ask anyone to leave at any time, and if they refuse, you can have them trespassed and even charged with trespassing if they don't comply with your request to leave. But this, I don't know if I should even show you this, because I can't confirm that this is actually authentic. Yeah, I don't think this is in Toronto, so I'm not going to show you that. It's misleading, so I'm not going to show you that. It's so hard to determine, what is being presented in a proper context and is not going to mislead folks. I'll say that as much as I believe in free speech, it is true that Twitter, X, has really become a cesspool of information. There's some good stuff in there, and there's a whole lot of crap. Now, it looks like, is this the RCMP? Yeah, an RCMP officer who I think has got to be authorized to put this video out there. He's saying, he talks about what is going on right now as he works at the Canada-USA border in Quebec. And Donald Trump, of course, this ties into all of this stuff, the Palestinian protests, the concerns about terrorism, immigration, border security, vetting of people coming into the country. Donald Trump saying, fix the border or we're going to slap a 25% tariff on everything that leaves Canada and comes into the U.S. because your borders are like a sieve and we're being flooded with fentanyl, drugs, criminals, terrorists, blah, blah, blah. I would suggest it's the other way around when it comes to whether people are coming or going. I think we're getting a lot more people coming from the U.S. into Canada than the other way around. Now, that's just an anecdotal comment. I need to verify the numbers. But from what I've seen at the Roxham Road crossing, from what I'm seeing going on politically in the States, where they are talking about a massive deportation operation, when I see the public reaction to that down there, and I see entire families of people, I think, preparing to leave if they haven't already, or maybe are already on the way to the border. I think we're getting more of a flood from the U.S. into Canada as people prepare to escape the deportation process under what is about to come from this new administration. So maybe it's the other way around. Again, anecdotal. Maybe Canada should be more concerned about the U.S. securing its border so that they don't just push people into our country. And we've seen the RCMP, CSIS, the federal government acknowledge those concerns themselves. They are looking at this and they are actually preparing for what they believe will be a flood of people seeking asylum in Canada as Donald Trump and his new government initiate this massive deportation initiative. So today we have this from this RCMP officer posted online. I guess this is some sort of a PR pitch.
So what is it that our RCMP officers are doing at the border to ensure border integrity? Well, they're patrolling 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year to ensure that anyone crossing, whether it be into the United States or into Canada, is intercepted. But it's much more than that. It's also fighting contraband. And when we're talking about contraband, we're talking about firearms, drugs, and illegal tobacco. We've been hearing a lot of things on the news about the border. So what is the situation right now? Well, the situation is normal. We're here 24/7, as I told you earlier, and we haven't noticed anything out of the ordinary. There is no massive influx of migrants coming into Canada.
Okay. That's what the RCMP is posting. That's what they're saying. Believe it or not. And this is not even Ripley's. Do you believe him? I believe him. I think the border here is probably relatively quiet and probably fairly secure, but I think it might be about to change. He's talking about deporting millions of people. Millions. If it happens the way that he's said it will, it'll be historic. Maybe even horrific. And it ain't going to be pretty. It is not. And I don't think it's going to be a healthy thing either. In fact, part of it is going to have, as much as people think it's had the immigration is having an impact on employment in a negative way, I think you're going to find that if he deports all those people, it will have some negative economic repercussions. So, brace yourselves, folks. I think we're in for a wild ride in the days and weeks ahead. Did you see in Ukraine they are not giving up, man. They are fighting for their country, doing everything they can to hold on. And here's Ukraine's SBU stopping a train, but they did more than just that. They blew up 40 Russian fuel tankers, turning it into a giant flaming inferno near the village of Olekslivka in Zaporizhia, which is currently occupied by Russian forces. This is how it all looked. Let me bring this up for you. It's massive explosion and resulting fire. Here it is. You can see that. So it looks like, it's still a war of attrition. It is still the two sides in something of a standoff. Russian forces in recent weeks have made some gains. Ukrainian forces, though, really making them pay for it in a serious way. And the casualties continue to mount on both sides. And the information war continues as well. Now, earlier we ran a clip of Senator Mike Rounds, South Dakota, talking about Pete Hegseth, Trump's pick for the man to start running the Department of Defense. And this is Rounds speaking at the International Security Forum recently, just very recently. And I'm just going to let him speak to the Ukraine issue. This is more, I said the other day, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were alive today? How would he handle these issues in places like Gaza? What would he do with regard to Ukraine? Well, here's Senator Rounds speaking very much like and he is a Republican, but here he's speaking, in my view, very much like a Reagan Republican. This is old school. This is the way it used to be done.
And so now, as I listen to what's happening in Ukraine, and this is my opinion, it's not the opinion of the administration, it's not the opinion of the next administration coming in, but for those folks in Ukraine that are fighting against a Russian aggression that we can all see, I just feel so frustrated that we have not been able to provide them all of the equipment that they need and all of the weapon systems that they need in order to respond to absolute tyranny coming from Russia, a neighbor who has absolutely unjustly invaded their country. And it's been done after a time in which Russia was one of the guarantors of their safety from 1994, when they gave up the nuclear weapons that they had. And they did it because they thought that all of us would defend them in that decision. And now here we are, this many years later, with Putin, the aggressor, looking at us as literally hundreds of thousands of his own people die on the front line as cannon fodder. And as he inflicts huge, huge amounts of damage and destruction in a neighbor, an innocent neighbor who wanted peace. And I wonder why we haven't done more quickly than what we have. All of us. The United States has put in over $46 billion in direct aid to Ukraine already. But what we have offered is our treasure, not our blood. Ukraine has offered not just everything they have, and to have this fight on their own homeland, but they have offered the blood of their own kids. And in fact, if you take a look at what's happened, they have had the older men going so that the younger ones can have a life. It's not easy to be logical when the emotions are that strong that I think all of us feel in the defense of freedom of a democracy against a tyrant. The Biden administration has stood strong, but I have been frustrated with their slow response in many ways to provide the necessary resources as being afraid of escalating and actually causing more damage in Ukraine and elsewhere. And I understand that. But folks, it's time to take a hard look at this thing and really ask ourselves, do you believe that this tyrant, if you offer him a part of a free country, do you think he's going to stop?
No.
Or do you think he's going to have to go back home and say, you see, when we stand strong, the weak, the West, these people who are decadent, do you think for 1 second he's going to turn around and walk back in and say, but we most certainly have our freedom now, that we've been defended by this and that we have everything we need? Or do you think he's going to look at that and say, you see, we're strength, we're Russian strength? See, I think that's what happens. I think the best thing in the world that we can do is make our commitment to Ukraine, allow them to participate in deciding whether or not victory is actually achieved, and whether or not Russia would continue to support a tyrant as the body bags continue to come home. I wish I could say there was an easy way out. There is not. And while the vast majority of all wars end with a peace treaty, it didn't happen in Germany. It didn't happen in Japan. I fear, as much as I would love to say that there is a path towards a peaceful resolution to this by negotiating with this tyrant, I suspect that we may be deceiving ourselves. And if that is the case, then let me just ask a question right now. As America, we spend over $850 billion a year in our defense budget. $850 billion a year. We are $36 trillion in debt. We are spending $1.4 to $1.7 trillion more every single year than what we take in. But let me just ask this as a close. And I ask it in your own countries. Ask yourselves this. Which is truly more expensive? To spend perhaps 10% more on the defense of your own country and in creating the supply chains for the munitions that you need and the superior weapon systems that you need so that you don't perhaps be perceived as being weak and end up in a world war? Or do we sit back and hope that what we've done is okay and that the tyrants of the world look at us and say, I've got enough? Or are they going to look at us and say, it's worth a risk? Let's challenge them. Perhaps we are stronger than them, at which time we enter into one war, one single war. Because if we ever do, any world war on more than one front, and we already know if we go on a war in one front, we're going to be on a war in two fronts at the same time. Do you measure that in billions, or do you measure that in trillions? And that's if we win. I think we pay the insurance premium. We pay it by making damn sure that we are not only perceived as being the strongest, but we are the strongest without doubt. That's the way. That's the way you make sure that your young men and women aren't spreading their blood in Europe or elsewhere in the next few years.
Okay. I'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. On the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.